Belinda and HarperAudio Australia present this unabridged recording of Back on Track, written by Tricia Stringer and read by Rebecca Macauley. The dedication reads, "For Joy and Andrew." 1. One night in February, Paddington, Sydney. The deep blue of evening slowly descended over Sydney, creating a momentary lull as the day departed and the night took over. In Paddington, a small group were gathered for drinks under the pergola at the back of Ketty Clift couture. Jazz played and, as the light faded, fairy lights winked and blinked to life. They momentarily distracted Ketty from the speech she'd been about to make. She loved fairy lights. There was a certain kind of magic in them that, even at 71, still filled her with the frisson of anticipation. She gazed up at the twinkling strands looped beneath the vines covering her courtyard and followed the trail of one string that wound down the veranda post and stopped beside a pot containing a lush green tomato plant. It was covered in small fruit, round and bright red like the baubles on a Christmas tree, that matched the colour of the silk dress she wore. The gentle clearing of her throat brought her attention back to the women gathered before her. Tien, one of her seamstresses, was looking at her closely. "Are you all right, Miss Clift?" Tien had been 17 when she'd first started working at Ketty Clift couture, now at 48. No matter how many times Ketty insisted she call her by her first name, her employee stuck with the formality. "Of course." Ketty ignored the disbelief in her smile and swept her gaze over the group before her, each with a glass of their preferred drink. Her second-in-command, Judith, stood to one side, stiffly holding a glass of wine, and at the other side of the small group stood Lacey, Ketty Clift Couture's young designer and deft jack-of-all-trades. Funny how their drinks reflected their personalities. Judith could be as crisp as the Pinot Grigio she gripped, while underneath dwelled a kind heart. Lacey was as sparkly as the champagne she held, but could never be described as frothy. Between them stood the three women Ketty called her engine room. These were the women who cut and sewed with careful precision. Ketty's three long-serving seamstresses smiled back at her. Ning, who'd been with her from the early days of Ketty Clift couture, held a glass of icy lemon squash. Tien, who was approaching 28 years of service, held a glass of apple juice, and Birgit, who'd been there nearly half as long, had champagne like Lacey. Ketty cleared her throat. From the moment she'd made her decision, she'd been planning this Friday night get-together, from the drinks and nibbles to the carefully packed brown paper bags, one for each woman, the raffia handles tied with a ribbon of their favourite colour. She wanted her staff to hear it from her while they were all together, and then to give them the weekend to digest her news. She knew it would be a surprise, perhaps even a shock, and now that the time had come to make her announcement, she felt a little nervous. "Thank you, my friends, for your dedication and talent and your service to our business. Last year was one of the most successful in the history of Ketty Clift couture, and it's because of all of you." She lifted her glass, putting off the moment a little longer. "Join me in a toast to you all. To us." She raised her glass higher. "To Ketty Clift couture." A chorus of voices joined her. Patch, Ketty's old black and white cat, startled from his position on a chair by the door and ran inside. They sipped their drinks, and all that could be heard in the brief pause was Nora Jones serenading them with "Come Away With Me." Ketty savoured the easy intimacy of the gathering. They'd worked together a long time, and she was concerned that the old saying, "familiarity breeds contempt," had somehow been infiltrating the previously harmonious working.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?